Okay, lovely. So obviously, as always, I say this, but I mean it absolutely. Very big warm welcome to all of you who are in the audience for today's chat with Denise. It's our year anniversary today since we went into lockdown, as all of you are very well aware. And I don't know about you, I've heard several of you have said on Super Troopers and comments on my blog and things like that, that having the opportunity to meet up with this vast and wonderful group of fabulous women has been a real lifesaver for you, and it's absolutely been a lifesaver for me. And I do love these chats with somebody within Super Troopers who has got an interesting story to tell or something to share with us that could be helpful, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm really delighted to welcome Denise Howell. And Denise, you are going to talk to us, I believe, about things very useful at the moment while we're in lockdown, for surviving and being mentally much more healthy, because you are a specialist in the subject of relaxation techniques, meditation, and you've got things to say about sleep, which is very important. So warm welcome to you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in this very important subject?
Okay, yeah, hi, it's really lovely to be here. So I started life as an office girl. In my mid-20s, realised I hadn't got any qualifications, and the first qualification I did was actually to become a yoga teacher. So when I was about 28, I think, I qualified as a yoga teacher. And of course, that's about to do with movement, but also the backbone of it is meditation, breathing techniques, relaxation. So I learnt how to do it then, but sort of life got in the way a bit, really, because it's not really a very well paid job. And so I got the chance to become a primary teacher, but it was sort of being the yoga teacher, it convinced me that I could teach people. And so I got the chance to go to university when I was 32 and became a primary teacher. And I did keep going with the yoga and the meditation. And I did a bit of teaching while I was at uni. But then once I qualified and became a full-time teacher, there really wasn't time to teach other people how to do it. So I did let it go, really. Life became hectic. I had a daughter in my mid-30s, full-time teaching, kept a home going and all that. And then when I retired 10 years ago, in fact, before I retired, I realised that meditation was still a big part of my life because I had quite a stressful job. And the one way that kept me sane and managed to go into work every day was meditating, because it calms the mind and brings the focus. But at that point, I hadn't done anything other than sort of revise what I'd already learnt in my 20s. But then when I retired 10 years ago, I gradually moved back towards teaching meditation. And I've done various courses over the years and started doing groups about 3 years ago. And then a year ago, as now, I had to stop doing the face-to-face stuff and started doing it on Zoom. And that, obviously that's, my groups have continued, but over Zoom, and it works really well because long as you can see each other, I can teach people in the comfort of their own home. And in the dark winter nights, it was very nice that they could snuggle up on the settee or in bed sometimes, and I can teach them how to do the relaxation or meditation techniques. So that's a very a quick resume of where I am today in my teaching and meditation life. So yeah.
That's really interesting, Denise. And I'm also interested, you started with yoga, and I think this, in the West, so we talk about Western medicine and Western approaches to health, we're very focused on fixing problems, seeing the body as a machine that needs to be fixed. And that's one of the things that, that's one of the approaches that we have in our medicine. Whereas when you look at other, I don't know what you call them, philosophies, I suppose, it's very, very much more to do with the mind-body connection, a more holistic approach. So my question to you really is, since you started with yoga, have you noticed a shift within our consciousness, if you like, that meditation, that the sort of holistic approach is actually better, and so people are more receptive to the idea?
I think there's been a huge shift. I do remember when I first qualified in my 20s that it was still quite a niche market really for teaching yoga, and definitely people saw it as a physical activity. But then it has, I think it's become more mainstream. People are much more open. I think there's also, if you go through the path of yoga, doing the asanas is actually the only reason you do them is so that you can sit comfortably and meditate. So it's preparing the body to be able to sit comfortably and meditate. So we've shifted a little bit in that we see it as more as a whole thing, that yoga and meditation all fit together in bringing a calmness, a focus, improving concentration, those kind of things. Is that what you meant, Tricia?
Yes, it is. I'm just very interested in how we have shifted, and we're much more open to this notion now. I think there was a time, because I did yoga years and years and years ago, when I was in my 20s, came across a yoga book and sort of practiced it by looking at the pictures and stuff. And I was, as you say, it was very much a body thing, but there was this period after you'd finished where you would lie down on the floor and close your eyes and concentrate and think of a candle flame and stuff. And I remember doing it. I was also a primary school teacher at the time, incredibly stressful job. And I would just find that I'd close my eyes and do the candle and the breathing and stuff, and then 20 minutes would have gone by, but I think that it gone like in a flash. And I was very, very impressed by how it helped to calm me. So I've been very open to meditation all my life, and I think it saved my life a couple of times. Tell us about you, because when we talked before, you said at 61 you were very, very stressed. So, tell us how meditation helped you at that point of great stress.
Yeah, well, it was at the end of my teaching career. So it was probably a bit sooner than 61. But anyway, I just found every day was so stressful. It wasn't the children, it was the powers that be, shall we say, the bureaucracy of teaching. And so I used to meditate every night when I got home, or sometime before bed. And although it calmed me and I felt that I could cope, I think you get to a point where actually I can't change the system. And so I decided to leave the job that I really loved, but it was just not possible to keep going. But then I taught what they call supply for a while, until eventually I decided that I wanted to leave it behind and start a new chapter, really. So yes, but it definitely helped me. But there is a point where you have to decide that actually the stresses that are being piled on you, meditation won't shift that. You have to make a choice in a way about where you go. And luckily enough, I was able to retire reasonably early, because I've been teaching for 20 plus years. So that gave me the chance to start a new, I feel like it's a new chapter, a new place in my life, really.
That's fantastic. I love these stories. I think they're important stories for us to hear, of women who go in one direction, and then often when they are older, they go in a completely new direction, and it's enormously beneficial to them because they're older, they're wiser, and they're able to pursue it. I mean, so many of the stories we've heard on All About Me have been exactly that, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So you made this decision to become a teacher of this, is that right? So how did you go about doing that?
Well, I suppose it was it wasn't a straight path in a way. One thing I did do when I was teaching primary children is I did a Reiki training, which is about meditation and energy, and so I pursued that first. But it's quite crucial to meditate to be able to do that, the Reiki energy training. So I did that for a little while, and it sort of, it interleaves with meditation and stress release. I also do relaxation techniques and breathing techniques. They all sort of intermingle, and you can't do Reiki without meditating, and you can't relax without breathing fully. So it sort of, I feel it's I've got this rather nice combination of skills now that I'm helping people to get on board with, really. Yes.
And if you were asked to describe, or just simply, what do you think, what is meditation?
If you don't mind, I'll start with mindfulness, because it's sort of, people get confused as to which is which. So mindfulness is just observing and being mindful of the moment. So you might hear that phrase that, it's like sitting and watching a sunset. That's being mindful, but you're not meditating. When you do meditating, you might do the mindfulness bit first, but you start to become more focused within your body, and it's a moment where you become fully aware of your thoughts, but you don't try. Meditation isn't about emptying the mind. You're not supposed to throw away what's in there, but it's learning how to not control the thoughts, but become aware of them. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by our thoughts, especially if we're in a stressful place or things are happening around us that cause that stress. But it's being able to sit back and find that calm place within. I always feel that it's like there's a little spot inside of us, a little place that we feel that is calming, and that's meditation. And the benefits obviously are it helps us to reduce our stress levels, because we can step back from them and then rejoin our life and think, they've overtaken me a little bit. I need to just take a longer view, shall we say. And I think you get a feeling of well-being that, so if you meditate for, say, 10 minutes, that feeling of well-being can stay with you for quite a while. And if you do it regularly, you start to step into it faster. I did my group last night, and 2 of the people said, you know what, as soon as you start talking, I start to relax. It's like the off button to stress is easier to find, or feel that you can find that quiet place. It's called a relaxation response. So the body starts to recognize, oh, I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to sit back, I'm going to relax, I'm going to breathe. And that brings us that relaxation response. And you get more effective, shall we say, at doing it.
So it's about practice and having those triggers for now I'm going into a relaxed space. Now I know you want to do a couple of techniques with us, which is wonderful. So we can learn something from you during this session. And you just said to me you would like to do a breathing technique, and then you would like to do a 10-minute process. Is that right? Is that what you'd like to do?
Yes. So it's I can go from the breathing technique straight into the meditation, because they intersperse, really, they link quite well. So if that's all right with everybody, I can't see everybody. I'm sure Brian, you can, that everyone's okay to make a start. Someone's messaging, but I'll we'll come back to that.
What's happening with the messages is Bryony is noticing those. What we'll do is we'll do this now, and then when we're finished, we'll go into our smaller groups and have a little bit of a chat, and then we will come out of that, and then we'll have the questions at the end. That's how we usually do it. But I think everybody would love to learn a couple of techniques from you, so do go ahead.
Okay.
Denise.
Okay. Yeah. All right then. Okay. So the first thing is to sit in a comfortable seat where your spine is supported, as upright as you can be. If you can, put your feet flat on the floor, so that what you're trying to do is to get a really comfortable position, comfortable seated position, so that you can sort of let the body relax. If you're sitting in an uncomfortable place, then it's harder to relax and it's harder to focus on the technique. So you're starting to look more comfortable. If you need to have support behind your neck, you'll know whether you've got your neck gets a bit creaky, put a cushion behind it if you can. Okay, so if you would like to, and it's okay to do so, can you close your eyes? Yeah, great. So then we start to bring our focus within the body, and that is where you start to think about your breath without changing anything, but you have become aware of the lungs moving. You're aware of the breath going in through your nose. And then we're going to just consciously breathe a little slower, but only do it if it's comfortable. It shouldn't make you feel stressed about breathing, but just slow down a little, but keep following the breath. Until the breath becomes smooth and even. And that's because we're sitting quietly, because the body is beginning to relax a little. And we're going to do something called the calming breath. And we're going to take a breath where we count for 2, and that's a slow count. And I'll do the first 2 or 3 with you. And then after that, I'll just let you practice. So when you're ready, we're going to breathe in for a count of 2. So ready? 1, 2, and then you're going to try and breathe out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, when you're ready, breathing in for 2. 1, 2, out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't worry if you don't quite make the 4, or you don't quite make the 2. The aim is to try and get to 2 and then 4 on the out breath. Now, if you're happy to go ahead, I want you to practice that. I'll try and count maybe about 5 or 6 breaths. So when you're ready, breathing in for 2 and out for 4. And again, just keep going. going. Lovely, keep going, you're doing really well. Breathing in for 2 and trying to breathe out for 4. Super. And now you can allow the breath to return to normal, to allow the body to take over again. It might take 2 or 3 breaths to get back to that even rhythm. Lovely. And as we go through the meditation, try and stay with my voice. If you lose track of where we are, what we're doing, the best way is just to come back and focus on the breath again. Just observing it, being mindful of the breath. Before we go into the full meditation, just check that your body is comfortable. Are there any parts of the body that feel a little tense? So just adjust your position. And if there's one area of the body that feels a little tense, more tense than another part, I want you to imagine that you could breathe into that part of the body. And as you breathe out, allow it to relax. For example, if your neck felt a bit stiff, then imagine breathing into that area of the neck and allow the body to relax a little more. And each breath you take will increase that feeling of relaxation until the body becomes softer, calmer, freer. Breathe in relaxation. Breathe out tension. Breathe in calmness. And let go of the tension with each exhale. Continue to breathe slowly and gently. And the deeper you feel, more relaxed with each breath. Calm and at peace. I'd like you to visualize sitting in a peaceful garden. Don't worry if you can't see the picture clearly, but you might feel the warm air around you. You might smell the flowers, the roses, the lavender. Your favourite flowers. And get that feeling when you sit in a garden, how peaceful it is. It can be completely imaginary, or it can be a favourite place of yours. But as you sit in that garden, your relaxation, your feeling of calmness increases. The place you are in fills you with calmness, fills you with peacefulness. Continue to focus on the breath. Each breath you take increases your relaxation. Come back to your picture, your place, your peaceful place. Fill in the details, the trees, the air, the bulbs, the flowers, the bushes. Temperature is perfect. Enjoy being still and relaxing. Allow your creative side to bubble up. Maybe you want to take a photograph, draw it, paint it. Just enjoy it. Just remain in your peaceful place for 2 or 3 minutes, absorbing to your very core the peacefulness of this place. Completely absorb the peacefulness of this place that you have drawn in your mind. As if you could store it within you for when you need it next. That peacefulness, that calmness. And allow the picture to fade, the feelings to fade, but you still feel peaceful. Become aware of the breath, that it's calm and relaxed and easy. And begin to breathe a little deeper. Become aware of your feet touching the ground. Aware of the room that you're in. When you feel ready, you might need a little stretch and a yawn, and come back to the room. look very peaceful.
It's wonderful. I think we probably all like to sort of just keep drifting off away. That was absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed that. It's really funny because we had 70 plus people on the call. I thought, I wonder if when I open my eyes, there's going to be about 30 people left. That everybody's gone. No, I don't want to do that. They're all still there, which is absolutely well done.
Really good. Thank you.
Well, really pleased that you stayed with it, because I really love doing things like that, and I think it's enormously beneficial just to quieten ourselves and to stop and just to breathe deeply and so on. And I love this idea of a special place that you go to in your mind that immediately calms you and so on. I think it's enormously beneficial, and
actually both of those things I've chosen, especially the breath where you breathe out slower than the inhale, is really good for calming you if you wake up at night or you can't quite get to sleep. The slower out breath is really good for connects to the side of the brain it's to do with rest and recuperation, rather than flight and fight. So it's the opposite of feeling stressed. And then that idea of finding somewhere peaceful, again, when you wake up in the night and your mind's going 10 to the dozen, if you can recreate even just a place in your own garden, instead of letting the thoughts sort of run away with them, take yourself somewhere. You can add extras, if you haven't got a lovely cherry tree, then put it there. You're not contained with what you can see. You can make that. And another place is, a lot of people love being by the seaside, being by the sea and the ocean, that lovely calmness that you get. Again, that's another one. Instead of letting the thoughts run away with you, think about or sort of recreate a place where you do feel calm, or it might be a forest somewhere, something like that.
It's wonderful. People are saying you've got a great voice, a beautiful voice, which is very easy to listen to, and I think it makes a huge difference. Before we go down into our smaller groups and have a little chat, we'll come back and talk to you about, perhaps you'd like to give us some tips and techniques about sleep when we come back, as well as answering questions, just some headline things that to do with that. But one of the worst things that happened to me, it was a while ago, I had a couple of panic attacks. So being completely overwhelmed by a sense of terror and dread. I was actually in Selfridges when it happened to me, and I just had to get out of this store. There were things happening in my life that were very, very disturbing, and I was extremely unhappy. And I just stood in the middle there, and I was just consumed by this sense of dread and panic. I thought I was going to die, actually. I obviously wasn't, but my mind thought I was. Anyway, I saw somebody, a brilliant guy that I was recommended to, and he basically said to me, think of the opposite of that feeling. Where do you experience the opposite of that feeling of I can't breathe, I've got to get out of here, I've got to run away, fight and flight, all that stuff. And I said, oh, it's in France. I've got a house in France, and it's by my swimming pool. I can see this amazing view. It's a big view, and so he said, okay, so you're gonna have to go there. That's where you've got to go, because that's your opposite place to this place of fear and terror. And it's very similar to what you're saying there. It's a place I immediately thought, this is where I can breathe. This is space and breath and light and air and peace and calm. And it was the absolute antithesis of the panic and fear and dread that the panic attack stimulated in me. And so it was just that he did a process with me, and took me there. And so I think these techniques, when we have these terrible feelings, and we all have them, hard to admit sometimes, but we do all have them. I think it's essential. And that was a lovely process that you took us there. I thought that was really excellent. So let's just go back to Denise briefly. Where are you, Denise?
I am here. I can't see you though, but
I've got you on a different screen. Okay. What I know that a lot of people watching this now will have disturbed sleep, will have sleep patterns that are not ideal. You know, they don't go to bed and then sleep for 8 hours and get up feeling refreshed. So, what are your best top tips you say to somebody who has issues around sleep disturbance?
Well, obviously, I was saying to the small group that, the whole group, meditation, 5 to 10 minutes a day can make a big difference to sleeping. And it doesn't matter what time of day you do it, because it'll still have an impact on your sleep when you actually lie down. And the breathing techniques as well. They can obviously be done any time in the day, but you could do it as you lie down, especially if you find it hard to drop off. But make the out breath longer than the in breath. There are other breathing techniques as well, but obviously we can't fit everything in today. And then other things like avoid caffeine. I'm sure lots of people do that anyway. No coffee or caffeine after sort of 2 in the afternoon. If you have really poor sleep, you might be better without caffeine at all, decaf stuff. But I always think it's a surprise that there's caffeine in, obviously, energy drinks, Coca-Cola, chocolate, hot chocolate. So just be aware. I mean, I do like a little bit of chocolate in the evening, but be aware that there is caffeine in it, and so that can have an effect. And instead of having tea or caffeinated drinks in the evening or from 2 o'clock, the kind of herbal teas are really good for sleep, especially things like, obviously, chamomile is really well known. There's lots of companies make a blend for bedtime, like a night blend or a bedtime blend. Pucker Tea do one. They include things like hops, passion flower, oats, or oat flowers. And it's finding one that you like the flavour of, really.
And what about alcohol? Does that disturb your sleep?
It does, yes, it does. It might make you feel drowsy for a little while, but I always see it as you get that sort of dip where you feel a bit sleepy, but if you're not careful, it comes back up, and you feel wide awake, because it's not a natural sedative. Well, it's not a sedative. It is a sedative. So it's not a natural way to go to sleep, and often, the old way of having a something to put you to bed, it doesn't give you a restful sleep. So yes, so alcohol, unfortunately, no, it's not a good one for if you are restless at night. What else? Bedtime. Keep to a regular bedtime, because we do have a circadian rhythm, which is based on when we were in caves, where we would go to sleep when it was dark and get up when it was light. And we have that natural idea that when it's daylight, we need to be up and about. When it's dark, we start to go into our cave, really. But what we do is we push past it, don't we? And naturally, so in the winter, we don't want to go to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you're not careful, you miss that chance to go to sleep. And I'm afraid I do it myself and think, you know what, you've just broken one of your rules. So I did something last week. I read a book on my Kindle, and it was so exciting. I wanted to keep going. And then I went past that. I was starting to feel quite drowsy, but because the book was so exciting and I got to a good bit, within about half an hour, I was thinking, oh, I'm wide awake now. I missed the opportunity to go to sleep. And it took me a while then to get sleepy again. And we also have at night time, what's it called? We have like a nighttime rhythm where we go lightly asleep, and that's one level of sleep. We go deeply asleep, then we go into REM sleep, and then after about 90 minutes, the stages happen again throughout the night, and you can see why you rouse up maybe after 90 minutes or an hour or 3 hours and go to the loo or have a drink, and you're at that within the rhythm of being awake, and you convince yourself that you won't get back to sleep. That's why you need these ideas of like relaxation, or you know, we all find ways to get back to sleep eventually. But it's part of that rhythm, that the 90 minutes of the different stages of sleep. So we do recognize that point where we are sleepy. So try and use that point to get ready to get into bed. Really, don't start washing up or doing jobs. You know, notice when you feel tired and try and get into bed as quickly as you can.
Okay, that's good.
Is that okay, Tricia? There are other things, but that's a few things to be going on with, I'm sure.
Let's have the questions now. So Bryony, what questions have we got?
Of course, yes. So we've had a couple of questions. Denise, one question from Dorothy. She wants to know what your feeling is on aromatherapy, as she finds scents very restful and calming.
Yes, absolutely. Lavender, of course, and chamomile, Roman chamomile. And there are others. Sometimes it depends on what you like, what you find relaxing. Use it. You can either use a room spray. In fact, we were talking about this in my group last night. Apparently, aromatherapy associates do a bedtime shower gel that has essential oils in rather than, you know, just perfume. So things like anything with essential oils in that you like the smell of, that yes, it's really effective.
Perfect.
As I say, those two are the main ones, but there are others. Even lemon can be quite relaxing. As I say, find the ones that you like.
Absolutely. Yvonne was wondering, do you have any good recommendations for meditation or mindfulness apps that people can use on their phones?
The few that I know about, there's one called Calm. There's one called Insight Timer. That's a meditation app. And I think it's the Mindfulness Movement app as well. And they're mini meditations, and you can choose the length and even the topic. So yeah,
we'll put some links underneath the video so people can find those apps. And then just final question, is there a way for people to actually improve the amount of deep sleep that you can get?
Obviously, some of the hints and tips that I've given today will make sleeping deeper and more relaxed, and that you feel more refreshed when you wake up. So yeah, some of the things I've talked about today. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Denise. That was absolutely brilliant. And you mentioned in my group, and we will put the details of this underneath the video, and we'll put them onto Super Troopers as well. You run classes, you do 4 sessions a week, and these are classes that people sign up to and pay for. But I'm sure that there may be people out there who would love to do more of this work with you, because they, you know, if they enjoyed, and I'm sure they did, enjoyed the session with you this afternoon, having it on a regular basis might be the solution for a few people watching. So we'll definitely put the links to those. If you send them to us, we'll make sure that those links go on there as well.
Thank you. There are, if you put my Facebook page up, there are some videos on there very similar to what I did today, and obviously you can do some tasters first before, if you're not sure about signing up. You don't have to sign up anyway, but they're there if you want them. So
lovely. Well, do explore those, because I think that would be brilliant. And we're just living through such weird times at the moment. I think anything that we have, I see it as a resource. As I said, it's a resource that we can turn to when we need it, and we might need it in the middle of the night, or we might need it because we're having a really down day, and you know, things are getting on top of us because we're in this weird isolation all the time. Anyway, thank you so much, Denise. I really, really enjoyed that. That was wonderful. And
thank you.
It was great. You do have a beautiful voice, and what you did with us was very easy to follow, in fact, and a good illustration of just how calming that whole process is.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and do explore that more, those of you who are watching this, and hopefully it will be, as I said, a helpful resource to you. So thanks for being part of the audience again. I shall look forward to seeing you when we've got, as usual, we've got Leonie tomorrow and then Lindsay on Thursday. And maybe you'll come for Film Club on Friday. Anyway, whatever you decide to do, I will be delighted to see you. And again, thanks, Denise, and bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.